Hey there, everybody. Pete here, and happy holidays to one and all. The holiday season is a great time if you're out and about to try and find either good deals or awesome finds when it comes to game collecting. And it just so happens that this year I think I have done pretty well for myself, to the point where I really need to put the brakes on because Christmas is 2 weeks away and I need to be able to give my family a chance to actually get me things that I don't own. Because these videos tend to be pretty popular, I figured I would do yet another pickups video to show you what this holiday season has brought me. First of all, you recognize this. This is an NES, right? But I got one of these. This is an NES Classic Edition. I bought this from Best Buy from their website the night they were available. I got very lucky and got one of the last ones, it looks like. And if you haven't seen what the system looks like in comparison to the NES. So here's the original NES, pretty big guy, right? And then here is the NES Mini, very, very small, but still a pretty powerful little device. It looks great in high def. There is some input lag, especially for Punch-Out and a couple of other games that I need to get used to, but still, it is an awesome collector piece if you're someone like me who really enjoys the NES. It's just nice to have. The poster that comes with it is really sweet, and there are a few games on here that I don't own for the NES, such as Balloon Fight and Ice Climber and a couple of others. So it's nice to have those to be able to play without sinking the $20 or $30 for a cartridge for one of those games. So that's the NES Classic Edition. I'm going to try and move through these quick because I know these videos tend to be 20 minutes in length, and people hate sitting that long to kind of look. I got this from Game Depot in Holyoke, Mass. Thanks a lot to Dave for hooking me up. This is Sunset Riders for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. There's some argument as to which version of this is better, the SNES or the Genesis version. But either way, to be able to have a version of this game to play finally, after not being able to find it in the wild, is awesome. I got very lucky. I went into Dave's store. I'm looking through the SNES stuff, kind of just looking at cartridges, and I see the Sunset Riders title kind of buried between two cartridges, and I pull it out, and I told Dave this is something that I have to own, and I'm very lucky. Dave cut me an awesome deal on it, and I was very happy, and now I have this, and I can play it. Ecstatic that I finally own it. Also picked up from Dave this rather pristine copy of Final Fight. The pins are just in immaculate condition. I know it's a very early Super Nintendo game, but with the Super Nintendo celebrating its 25th anniversary this year, it's kind of nice to be able to get some of the early titles and relive what late 1991 was like. So thanks again to Dave for that. A few PlayStation games to show off, and this is a trio of bad. From Retro Games Plus in Newington, Connecticut. This is The Crow, City of Angels. Most well known for a video that the Angry Video Game Nerd put up for a Halloween episode, I think it was last year, where we talked about this game. Now, it's a beat-em-up, so I'm wondering whether I'm going to hate it as much as he did. We'll certainly find out. I think he did the Saturn version, so maybe the PlayStation version is better, but I kind of doubt it. From Gameplay USA, right up the road here in Westfield, Massachusetts, I picked up a couple of other notably bad PlayStation games. This is E.T. the Interplanetary Mission, and yes, it is bad as you've heard. This has to be seen to be believed. Maybe I'll do a video on this over holiday break. It's bad. Also, and this is unintentionally bad. For its target audience, I think it makes sense. This is Sesame Street Sports. I was playing as Grover on a unicycle, because Grover is my favorite of these characters. And it is very basic. It's very rudimentary. If you're not the target audience, you're not going to understand what they're doing. But seeing Grover pull all kinds of like stalefish grabs and stuff off ramps with his unicycle is kind of neat. Not quite Tony Hawk, but it's not really trying to be. There has been some discussion about how poor GameStop's retro game sales are. When people order retro games, they never know what they're going to get. Sometimes they get awesome stuff. Other times they get discs that aren't in good shape or incomplete. But I figured I would take a stab and try a few orders to see how they were. Now, the plus side when you do get a game that's complete, especially if the price is lower than market, you're pretty happy. This is Tales of Symphonia for the GameCube, which came from GameStop, and not only are the discs in good shape, but everything is here. So I have both discs, I have the manual, I am ready to play this game when I have some free time. On the flip side, however, you sometimes are going to get discs that are games that are disc only, like Zombie Revenge for the Dreamcast, for example. The game still plays, and Stick Breitling is still one of the best names in video game history, but I was hoping for a case, didn't get one, not a big deal. Jade Cocoon for the PlayStation, a game that reminds me of my FuncoLand days, a game I never bought back then, although I saw it being played in store, and some people did buy it, but it really hadn't caught on just yet. But now that Pokemon Fever is in full effect and you get to train monsters and stuff, I really want to give this a try and see how good it is. And last but not least, and I don't care that it didn't come with a case, it's more just the game for me. This is Jumping Flash for the PlayStation, dating back to 1995. There was a discussion on a pretty popular message board recently about naming games that are better than Super Mario 64. I know that this is going to be a point of contention for some people because Super Mario 64 is such a sacred cow, but actually I would play this like 8 times out of 10 over Super Mario 64. And some of it's nostalgia driven because it was an early PlayStation game. And some of it to me is just because the game is fun to play. It's not just jumping and exploration. You're doing it in first person. There's some shooting that goes on. There are hidden bonuses. And the game is just off the wall wacky. It was completely original. It wasn't Mario where we've already been familiar with the universe. This was completely new. And this and its sequel are awesome games. You can find them. I highly recommend them. One more GameStop purchase. This is the Skycrawlers Innocent Aces for the Wii. This is developed by the Project Aces team, most notably behind the Ace Combat games for the PlayStation 2. I am a big Ace Combat fan. Looking forward to Ace Combat 7. The only Ace Combat game I really didn't like was Ace Combat 3 Electrosphere, but I think part of that's because the localization was bad. This is pretty neat. I'm not too familiar with the anime that basically serves as the setting, the background for the game. But putting that aside, it handles just like any other Ace Combat game would, and more Ace Combat to me is always a good thing. And this did come complete, has the manual and the disc is in great shape. Dave from Game Depot set me up with this. This is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, a game that I had not played. I am slowly but surely at least experiencing all of the Zelda games that I can. I'm not the biggest Zelda fan, but after playing Hyrule Warriors Legends, because that is my favorite Zelda game by far, because it's Dynasty Warriors and Zelda, you can't go wrong. I thought that I owed it to myself to at least have the games in my library so I can try them out at my leisure and figure out whether they're games that I'm really going to like or not. This is a gorgeous game. Music's awesome. I haven't gotten into the Motion Plus stuff just yet, so the jury's out on a lot of it, but it is nice to finally have in my library. Another game that I'm happy to have in my library, although I'm sure maybe 2 of you will care about this. This is Madden 13 for the Wii, which was the last of the Madden games for this system. This does have the presentation package, at least the commentary package from Jim Nantz and Phil Simms, which I think is pretty neat. And the game stands out enough from its Xbox 360, PS3 counterparts to play well enough on its own, and I like that about this game. Still cartoonish in its presentation, and the frame rate stutters from time to time, but still, for the Wii, considering the technology involved, I think this is a pretty damn good game. Getting to a couple of bigger hitters here. This is Xenoblade Chronicles for the Wii. This doesn't come with a manual because the game manual is downloadable, but it does come with a disc. The case is in great shape. The story behind this really quickly is that I picked this up on a whim from Best Buy because I got a decent deal on it with the 20% off. Because I was looking for a game to play. I was going to be somewhere where I had some time to kill. And I really like the combat for whatever reason. It is kind of in depth and I'm struggling to understand it, but it's not terrible. It feels turn-based, but not really. And the game was gorgeous. I liked all of the voice work. So I figured when I saw this in store that I would get the original game to see what it looks like on the Wii. And it is a gorgeous game. I wish that I had component cables to be able to see it in all of its glory. As it is playing it on this television here, the text is hard to read and there's some shimmering going on in the visuals. But nonetheless, the game is gorgeous, and I'm hoping to spend some time with this at some point down the road. Dave from Game Depot set me up with this. This is the collector's version of the Metroid Prime trilogy. This does come with the steelbook case, although the case is a little bit worse for wear, but still not bad. It comes with the art book as well. And I do have to say that finally I understand. Playing Metroid Prime with the Wii Remote and the Nunchuck is the way to play. No disrespect to the GameCube controller, although it's not one of my favorites, but playing Metroid Prime with that particular controller setup with the Wii Remote and the Nunchuck is easily the way to go, and I'm enjoying this more than I ever did when I originally played them for the GameCube years ago. I picked this up on Black Friday from Retro Games Plus. This is Mortal Kombat Armageddon Premium Edition. This is another steelbook case, and when we open it up, there are two discs in here. The bottom disc, which is the bonus disc, has some video trading cards, which is pretty cool, so you can check out the backgrounds of each character. Plus, there's a video that talks about the history of fatalities. But the reason I wanted this is because the Premium Edition disc, where the main game is on, there's also a playable version of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. This is the only way for the PlayStation 2 that you can play that. It is not available on the Midway Arcade Treasures 2 disc. It's just Mortal Kombat 2 and 3. So now, between Mortal Kombat Deception, Mortal Kombat Armageddon, and then Midway Arcade Treasures, I have all of the arcade Mortal Kombat games, save for 4, which didn't come out. This one I paid a pretty penny for. Let me try that again. I paid a pretty penny for this game. However, I see it in the wild. As a matter of fact, this is the first time I had seen it in the wild. And because I had seen it in a GameSack episode, I had always had my eye open for it and really wanted it when I found it. This is Blood Will Tell, Tezuka Osamu's Dororo. This is a hack-and-slash action game with some storytelling elements that are really neat. And although it was a steep price to pay because it's uncommon, it's one of those games that you're paying a lot for, but it's really fun to play. I'm enjoying the action gameplay aspect. I'm enjoying the leveling up aspect. I'm enjoying the storytelling. There's some humor there. There's some seriousness there. There's some scary stuff there. But nonetheless, it's a lot of fun. If you can swing the money, because it is an $80 game, I do recommend it. But try and get it complete in box if you can, like I did. And the last of the games that I want to share with you, and it's purely out of nostalgia, although nostalgia for TV rather than nostalgia for a game. This is the Dukes of Hazzard Return of the General Lee for the PS2. The game is bad. Make no mistake about it. I played a little bit of the game. The vehicle handling is not very good. It is a poor man's Driver. But the reason that I picked this up was because it reunited all of the cast members from the Dukes of Hazzard TV show. So you have Wopat and Schneider and the guy who played Boss Hogg and the guy who played Roscoe Coltrane. And you have everybody reunited for one game. And I always find that fascinating, whether it's these games. I know there's a Star Trek game that has William Shatner and Patrick Stewart lending voice work. Getting the actual voice talent, I think, is a pretty cool thing. Again, bad game, but purely based on nostalgia because I grew up watching Dukes of Hazzard. My stepfather was big into country music, and when Dukes of Hazzard was on, Dukes of Hazzard in Dallas, he would watch those because it was all in the South. So when I saw this, it was a game that I had to pick up. This was from Gameplay USA, and the $19.99 is not right. I actually got a really good deal on this. So thank you very much to them. Really quick to wrap this up, I also picked up some more Nintendo Power magazines. I want to do a video on Nintendo Power at some point down the road. The coolest one of these is the Battletoads issue that has a full walkthrough of the game, complete with all the maps. Not that that's going to help me get through turbo tunnels anytime soon, but it's still cool to see all the maps denoted in the game. One of the guides, or one of the magazines that I picked it up yesterday, in fact, when I made a trip down there, actually has a walkthrough for Wario Land 3, which I have for my 3DS, so that was kind of coincidental. And then last, I picked up some strategy guides. I've been building up my strategy guide library bit by bit. Retro Games Plus has been selling some of these as low as $1 a piece. Now, Rogue Squadron was not $1. It was 10, but because it's the official Nintendo one, I thought it would be cool to own. This was $5. This is the Final Fantasy XII Limited Edition strategy guide that comes with an art book. Maybe if I read the strategy guide, I'll get more into the game this time, although there are no promises. This is not one of my favorite Final Fantasy games, but I'm willing to give it a shot one more time. Maybe if the strategy guide walks me through it, I'll see something or understand something that I didn't before. Two others really quick. This is Rygar, the Legendary Adventure, a very underrated PlayStation 2 game that's much like a God of War, or reminds me a little bit of Castlevania Lament of Innocence. That very action-oriented, very combo-oriented, and yet there's still some exploration and some puzzle-solving kind of game. And the game actually looks very good for a PlayStation 2 game. And then Medal of Honor Underground. Again, this is a FuncoLand callback. Playing Medal of Honor and Medal of Honor Underground just reminds me of my days at FuncoLand. The Medal of Honor intro video is still one that rings out in my head talking about conversational German. These games, although they may not hold up graphically today, were my introduction and what really started to get me into first-person shooter games. For a lot of other people at that time, it was GoldenEye, but for me, it was the Medal of Honor games. So that's it for this set of pickups. I know this video has gone long. Thankfully, because I'm substitute teaching now and I'm actually making a living for myself, I actually have had some money this holiday season to not only see the deals when I've been out and about, but take advantage of them, which I think is really cool. Look for more videos as we move down the line. I know that I have some time off for the Christmas break, so I'm going to try and get some stuff done then. And maybe there'll be another one going up this week if time allows. In any event, thanks for watching, everybody. Have yourself an awesome holiday season, and we'll talk soon. Until then, take care.